What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel want to get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, that does help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And what I want to speak about this evening is the entire controversy surrounding Kamala Harris's fake Southern accent that she spoke with recently at her latest rally. This is a relevant conversation to have. I'm going to get into why it's a relevant conversation in just a moment. But what I do want to highlight on right now, I want to highlight how this isn't a new thing for Democrats, right? I want to bring that to the forefront. Speaking to Black audiences and to Black people when they're present in this weird kind of fake Southern Baptist preachery accent, it's not a new thing. This seems to be something that Democrats do whenever they're trying to appeal to a Black audience, right? Whenever they're trying to appeal to Black people, they start talking with this weird Southern Baptist preacher accent. Here's one of the earliest kind of moments where we've caught this weird Southern Baptist preacher accent from Hillary Clinton. This sounds completely crazy. Hillary Clinton does not talk like this, but let's listen to this right here. This is insanity.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
What? Why does she sound like a plantation owner? I don't feel no ways tired. Like, why do you sound like that? Let's hear that one more time, please. Oh my God. Listen, I'm offended. I'm offended. I feel like this is some sort of like hate speech that's kind of going on here, some sort of like hate rhetoric that's happening. I feel like she's mocking and making fun of Black folks. This is something that was highly offensive that was done back then, and it's highly offensive now. I am extremely offended by this kind of hate speech and hate rhetoric that's coming from the left, that's coming from the DNC whenever they're addressing Black people. Okay, but let's hear this kind of little fake Southern, I don't know, plantation owning accent that she's putting on right now. Let's hear that one more time.
I don't feel no ways tired.
I don't feel no ways tired.
I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
That is so similar to when Joe Biden told Black Americans that we were going to get put back in chains.
They're going to put you all back in chains. They're going to put you all back in chains.
What's up with Democrats constantly speaking to Black folks with this weird Southern accent, talking about how they're going to put us back in chains? Apparently Trump is going to put us back in chains this time around if he wins. You know what I mean? It's just offensive. I just want the DNC to know I'm highly offended by this. I am highly offended by this. Here's another situation here where AOC did the same thing. Her accent isn't as pronounced as Hillary Clinton's. It's not as dramatic. Hillary Clinton's, it was just so over the top. That was just crazy over the top. But here's AOC when she was speaking to the, I believe it's National Action Network, that is Al Sharpton's organization, the National Action Network, also known as NAN. And you'll hear it here where she just stretches out her words, and it's weird. Like, you know, I'll just play it for you, and I'll let you be the judge of it.
What organizing looks like.
That's right.
This is what building power looks like. This is what changing the country looks like. It's
You have this looks like, and then what it looks like. She's gonna get into ain't nothing wrong with let me stop interrupting. I apologize. Let's let AOC sister girl take it away.
This is what organizing looks like.
That's right.
This is what building power looks like. This is what changing the country looks like. It's when we choose to show up and occupy the room and talk about the things that matter most, talking about our future. You know, Reverend, you bring up a funny anecdote, and I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy. There is nothing wrong with preparing the food that your neighbors will eat. There is nothing wrong with driving the buses that take your family to work.
What you notice when you listen to the Hillary Clinton fake Southern accent, which was way over the top, and then you also listen to when AOC did it as well, though it wasn't necessarily as pronounced and as over the top, but you can hear it. You see the fakeness in it because if you were to go back and listen to these again, you rewind it back, I'm not going to play it again, you can hear them breaking character. They go from Southern accent to who they are, to Southern accent again, to back to who they are. You can hear them breaking character and then falling back into character and then breaking character again. You heard that with Hillary Clinton the first time around, and then you saw it here with AOC where she goes back and forth, back and forth. Now what I want to get into is a great montage that was put together by the New York Post of Kamala Harris's fake black Southern preacher sister girl accent that she puts on, where she's reciting her lines, she's reciting her scripts, her rehearsed script, but when she speaks it, sometimes she talks in her normal voice and sometimes she has her, you know, black Southern accent going. So let's get into this right here.
Our nation.
Rewind it back, take it from the top.
Person in our nation has benefited from that work. You know, everywhere I go, I tell people, you may not be a union member, but you better thank unions for that 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
You better thank a union member for the sick leave. You better thank a union member for the vacation time. You better thank a union member. What is wrong with you? Why are you talking like that? Why is she talking like that? This is completely ridiculous and offensive. I'm offended. As a black man, I'm offended. I am highly offended by this fake black accent that Kamala Harris is speaking with. You clearly don't speak like that, but let's carry on.
So, friends, 64 days until the most election of our lives. Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that? And you all helped us win in 2020. And in 2024, we will win again. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will.
He's going to jail.
Well, the courts will handle that, and we will handle November. How about that? Here's the thing. The courts are going to handle that. We're going to beat them in November. We're going to beat them in November.
She said November with an A at the end. We're going to beat them in November. We're going to beat them in November. So this is like a thing with Democrats. This is what they do. I don't know. They like to put on these fake Southern Baptist preacher black accents, depending on who they're talking to, the city that they're in, who's in front of them, who they're trying to appeal to. They do this regularly. And this is a question that, if I remember, his name is the Fox News correspondent that's always at the press briefings with Karine Jean-Pierre. Speaking of Karine Jean-Pierre, I think his name is Peter Ducey. He asked Karine Jean-Pierre about this, and Karine Jean-Pierre, she just kind of lost her mind. She lost it. She didn't appreciate the question at all. And basically just outright dismissed it as she was just kind of going off on a tangent and on a little mini rant. But the thing is that that question is relevant. It's relevant in the light of the conversation and controversy surrounding Kamala Harris's faking her blackness for political gain. A woman who at the beginning of her career and in her early life as well, is someone who consistently identified as being Indian, but became Black when it was politically convenient to. This is not a conversation that was started by Donald Trump. This is something that Black folks have been exposing about Kamala Harris since 2019, when she first hit the scene running for president of the United States. Her failed attempt, that attempt failed miserably, to say the very least. But we've been pointing that out since back then, since about 5 years ago. So this isn't a new thing, but it's blown up because Donald Trump highlighted it. Not for nothing, he was asked a question concerning Kamala Harris and her Blackness, and he answered honestly about how she suddenly became Black, and now here's this whole big thing around it. But what's the most interesting and eye-opening, as I pointed out before, is that Donald Trump made the statement that all these years I've always known Kamala Harris for being an Indian woman, until she became senator and then went on her presidential run from there. Up until that point, she was always Indian, but then suddenly she turned Black. And what's the most interesting about that is that Kamala Harris will not defend herself in light of that claim by Donald Trump. Many people like to play the game of she's not going to dignify that type of ignorance with a response. But my response to that is this: you dignify everything else that Donald Trump says with a response. You swear up and down that Donald Trump is lying about everything that comes out of his mouth, and they never have an issue saying he's lying about this, and he's lying about that, and he's lying about this. But the one thing that they won't say he's lying about is Kamala Harris being Black for political gain. Is Kamala Harris now pandering and becoming Black out of political convenience. She won't say that he's lying about that. That's what she won't say he's lying about. Kamala Harris will directly say Donald Trump is lying about X, Y, and Z. My question is, why won't Kamala Harris directly say he's lying about that too? That's what I find interesting. She won't do it. Like I said in previous videos, I'm not interested in what Roland Martin and Charlemagne, the lesser charge God has to say. They can afford to lie on her behalf. Why won't Kamala Harris defend herself? That is an easy thing to point out if it is indeed a lie. The fact that you won't defend yourself personally tells me that Trump is telling the truth. And that's why, yes, this entire conversation is very relevant. Now, let's get into what, once again, I believe his name is, I hope I'm not saying wrong, Peter Doocy. Let's get into the question that he asked Karine Jean-Pierre, and let's just look how she just flipped out. She flipped out, and she's trying to take the whole, I'm not going to dignify that with a response kind of role, right? She's trying to play that part as well, but let's get into it.
A different topic. Since when does the vice president have what sounds like a southern accent?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is...
She was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that
same
you think...
line.
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the question that you're... I mean, do you think Americans seriously think that this is an important question? They care... You know what they care about? They care about the economy. They care about lowering costs.
That's clearly something that Democrats don't care about, because Democrats are the reason that the economy is upside down, busted, and costs are all the way through the roof. So that's a lie from the pit of hell, straight from the devil's mouth. Democrats, especially Kamala Harris and Biden, do not care about that when they're the ones that created this mess. But carry on, Karine Jean-Pierre. Tell us what we care about.
They care about health care. That's what Americans care about.
So
that's what they want to hear.
This is something...
They care about, your colleague just asked me about what basically we talked about, went back and forth about democracy and freedom.
Oh, don't get me started on that. We know Democrats don't care about democracy and freedom. That's a whole nother video if I get started on that. Let's just carry on with our little bantering here.
That's what they care about. I'm not even going to entertain some question about the president. It's just hearing it sounds so ridiculous.
Well, but hearing it is...
The question, I'm talking about the questions is just insane.
Is that how she talks in meetings here?
I'm just... Peter, we're moving on. We're still moving around. Go ahead, Anita.
That is a legitimate question. Peter Doocy was asking a legitimate question, especially in the light of the controversies surrounding the fact that Kamala Harris refuses to defend her own self against the claim that she has now turned black out of political convenience and for political gain after identifying as Indian all this time throughout her political career up until the point that she became senator and then moved into trying to become president of the United States. This is a legitimate question. It's a legitimate claim. Why won't she defend herself? That's the question. Why won't Kamala Harris defend herself? We're not going to let these people play the I'm not going to dignify that with a response answer. That's not what we're going to do. At least I'm not going to let that slide. Like I told you guys, when it comes to this issue, this is something that I am going to stay on their necks about. So with all that being said, that does it for today's video. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to this channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram and Rumble. That is extremely important. Both my Telegram and Rumble links are in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. And until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.